from HR's role in any business environment, HR always needs to be looking at the jobs in the organisation. Does the organisation have the right jobs? Does it have the right people doing those jobs? The right number of people, but also the right kind of people. The HR always needs to be shaping the organisation, making it bigger or smaller. And are people doing those jobs to the very, very best of their ability with every sinew of their being? And that doesn't change in recession. It can mean that the strategic agenda changes slightly, so the day-to-day activities can change, but overall your job is to work out what jobs should be done, who should do them, and how they should be done. I think the really important thing is to make sure that things like brand are protected. So HR's got to do what it can to ensure that people don't forget that a brand is one of any company's strongest assets, and it's very easy to say, if we can't get the income in, we're going to stop spending money on our brand, and it's very, very important not to do that. So I think probably supporting the way in which brand is managed is critical. It's very interesting, because actually when you start talking to people about engagement, quite often leadership comes up as a key barrier, and I don't think it needs to be. If you've got a very engaged leader, it can be very helpful. It can occasionally let other people off the hook. What you need is an engaged leadership team, and given that leadership is really non-hierarchical, that means an engaged leadership throughout the entire organisation. If you don't have an engaged CEO, it makes life harder, but it shouldn't stop you. What a leader should do, and that really is anyone who works for an organisation should see themselves in that way, is make sure that every time they encounter anyone, be it client, be it colleague, that they make sure that encounter makes the other person realise why they're there, what the point is, and why they're important. I think the things I've really enjoyed are running a good HR team, seeing them achieve things they didn't think they could achieve. It's great when the business you're working with is successful and achieves things, again, that you didn't think it might be able to achieve. I watched all these different ITV companies come together into one company and then saw what they could make happen. And that was enormously satisfying over quite a long period of time. But I think watching people make things happen that they never thought they would is probably the most satisfying thing. The worst part of the job for me is the administrative bit, so having to do some of the more administrative side of HR, and I've always worked quite hard to try and to do as little of that as I can. So making sure that I work with people who do that very, very well has been a huge priority for me. I mean, the media is a very difficult place to be in business. The business models are all changing really quite dramatically at the moment, and so no one is quite sure how it will settle down. It employs a wide variety of people, many of them very, very clever indeed, quite a lot of fun to work with, and so that's always been very interesting. But I've also worked across lots of businesses that were very, very different, and I think probably media at its best can be the most fun.